Oh no, she didn't. Oh my god. Hello and welcome back to another Royal Reviewer transmission. Today is the 25th of April 2023 and let's just get straight into it. I have just seen possibly one of the funniest things I've seen all month. Possibly the whole year, I don't know. Anyway, Harry and Meghan have been out. Now, I don't know anything about basketball. I really don't. So I don't know who's playing or whatever. Anyway, they were at a LA basketball game in their first public appearance since it emerged that Meghan won't be attending the coronation. Although we did see Meghan a few days ago doing a video link. So it's an NBA basketball last night. I'm not going to pretend to know what all that's about. But despite... Okay, so this is the occasions. I know it's more kind of prevalent in the USA where they have a camera that beams onto the big screen so that everyone can see in the stadium, and they move the camera around. Is it known as kiss cam or something of that nature? And when people they normally zoom in on couples, and they like you to have a smooch. They like you to have a bit of a kissy kissy, don't they? Kissy kissy woo woo. And in this particular instance, Meghan just pulled away from Harry. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I think what we're seeing basically is we're seeing a little glimpse of the old Harry. He's still in there. There is a glimmer. Old Harry, that cheeky chappy that millions of people across the globe, the Commonwealth, the United Kingdom, the world fell in love with, is still there. And I think Harry was definitely up for a little bit of fun. The kiss cam, whatever you want to call it, was focused in on them. He wanted to give the crowds what they wanted. I imagine if Meghan would have complied and they'd kissed, there would probably have been a big eruption of cheers. But no, what did Meghan do? She sort of she gave him the cold shoulder. She turned the other cheek. My goodness, what a dementor. I mean, she really zapped the fun from that moment. She really did. I mean, if ever they're looking to remake Harry Potter, they've only got to go as far as Meghan to reprieve her acting career. She could be the premier dementor. But it was nice to see that Harry is still in there. There is still that little bit of a cheeky chappy wanting to have fun, and it would have been received, I think, very, very well by the crowds had Meghan sort of leaned into the kiss. Now, I am not saying for one moment that somebody should kiss in public on camera if they don't want to. I don't think anybody should be cajoled into doing it. But Meghan and Harry have had no problem kissing in public before, at their wedding, showing affection in public. So I think this was all about control. It was all, but I don't think there was the time. I think it was an immediate reaction to the moment. I don't think there was time to particularly plan it. It was just a knee-jerk turning away. I'm not in control. I don't have control of this moment. I didn't instigate it. This is something that's being put on and happening to me rather than me instigating it or planning it or whatever. So it was interesting to see the reaction to the same scenario from the two halves of the duo. Meghan's reaction was to turn away, was to not to engage with the fun element of it. Harry's reaction, his innate reaction, was just to have fun, was just to be involved, be in the moment. But I don't think it looked like Meghan was open to losing that element of control. I'm just watching it now, kind of on a on a loop. Now, the night was not lost. I don't think Harry particularly took offence. I don't think he was looking too deeply into it. It's only sort of royal watchers looking in that I think will really kind of be dissecting it. So I don't think in the moment it upset Harry, and they carried on having a really good night. Now, they did take along members of the Archewell team, I do believe. I think one of the people identified was possibly Harry and Meghan's attorney. Definitely keeping their team close. I think what part of the strategy is to, take the staff to, events such as this. All expenses paid. All expenses paid by Harry and Meghan. This is kind of going back to when, was it Meghan bought the royal staff ice creams? Well, this is even bigger. They've taken them to a game where they can all have some fun, but probably sort of not networking, but a bit of schmoozing, I think, may be going on. Keeping your team as much as you can close. Now, don't forget, we have, it's a bit of a revolving door at the Sussex HQ, isn't it? At Archewell, staff seem to be coming and going all the time, probably more so than is typical for these sorts of enterprises, shall we say, or employers. I think that just about says quite a lot. There we go. I think the attorney was Rick Janau. I think I've said that name completely wrong, so I do apologise. But he's an LA power lawyer, an advisor to the couple since Megxit. But everyone seemed to be having a good time. There was one lady who was really relaxed. I don't know who she is. Please, if someone knows who she is, let me know. But she was smooth. She had her glass of champagne. I'm presuming it was champagne. If they could run to champagne, maybe it was prosecco. I don't know. But she was slumped. She was having a whale of a time. I don't know what was going on there. I liked her shirt, but no, she was having a whale of a time. I'll pop a picture somewhere. But yes, they were beamed on the big screen, and I just thought it was really embarrassing for Harry. I don't think he really got that in the moment, but it was a sort of, it was that moment where you just get a real glimpse into what is probably the real Harry and Meghan, the real relationship of the couple, the real power dynamic, and where that dynamic lies. And this completely indicates what many people have been suspecting for a while, that the power dynamic is Meghan. I think I've heard the phrase before, all roads lead to Meghan. And yeah, she was in control. No, she didn't like not being in control of that situation. She turned. And just as in many times in her life, she has turned away from things that she has lost control over. She's lost control of the majority of her father's side of the family, so she's turned her back. She's lost control of the British press, turned her back, moved away, lost control, or the control that she thought she had of the monarchy, and that key role that I think she thought that she could have in shaping the monarchy. So she turned her back. This just sums up Meghan in one movement. But like I say, I think the take home from this, the thing that we should all be really happy about, is the fact that Harry, the cheeky chappy Harry, is still in there. That innate personality, that innate light that cannot and will not be dimmed. Right, so next, continuing with a little bit of Harry and Meghan saga, I just want to talk about Harry's sort of non-domicile status and the relation that that has towards his tax implications in the UK. So I know that the UK and the US have various tax treaties and implications, and things are not as simple as just black and white. Sometimes there are rules and exemptions and things that can be put into place. So I'm not going to pretend to be a tax expert, but I do know that some tax experts, legal experts, have been taking a close look and at Archewell's finances and Harry's and Meghan's sort of tax implications regarding the UK. But what I've got in front of me, and I will pop it on the screen, is from the official UK government website regarding tax status with regards to being a non-domicile. So what I've heard is that people have been saying, that experts have been saying, that Harry can only spend 16 days a year in the United Kingdom before other tests are factored in with regards to will he or won't he pay UK tax. Now we know that he hasn't been in the UK, I don't think, 16 days or more in the current tax year. So I don't think he's eligible in this tax year to pay UK tax. But I do want to go through it. Now, let me just say, so it says whether you're a UK resident usually depends on how many days you spend in the UK. You'll only be resident in the UK if both of the following apply. Either you meet one or more of the automatic UK tests or the sufficient ties test, or you do not meet any of the automatic overseas tests. So we're going to assume that he doesn't meet those. UK tests. So you may be resident under the automatic UK test if you spent 183 or more days in the UK in the tax year. Well, Harry has not, clearly. Your only home was in the UK for 91 days. Well, no. You worked full-time in the UK for a period of any 365 days, and at least one day of that period was in the tax year you're checking. Well, I don't think he worked in the UK, or did he? I mean, that's a bit that you could kind of contest, I suppose. You know, when he was potentially filming for Netflix. I mean, is he classing? I suppose when he was over for charity work, you could say that was for charity work and not actually work. But then, was he filming for Netflix for it? That bit is a little bit, I suppose. You could debate that. But I'm sure Harry's got an answer for it. The overseas test. So this is the one that I think they will be looking at. So you're usually non-resident if either you spent fewer than 16 days in the UK. Well, I don't think he spent 16 or over to date in the current tax year, or 46 days if you have not been a UK resident for the previous 3 tax years. Now, I've been trying to work out, we know that they formally stepped back in 2020, but in terms of earning money, i.e. working, I mean, if what Harry said, I think it was in the Netflix and possibly in Spare as well, about the fact that he never really had a job, or perhaps he was pertaining that being a royal and receiving money from his father was a job, because he even indicated that he should potentially get some redundancy payment or a pension or something from it. So if Harry was treating it as work to try and justify a payment, then perhaps he had worked within that time period. Anyway, I think that again is very sort of contentious and could be contested. So I don't think that will happen unless people really go in with regards to the scrutiny of it. But I think it's hard to work out whether or not he's been absent for 3 UK tax years. I'm not sure, because he will have had to have paid tax on private income, private investments, probably any trust funds that are still in existence would have been eligible for UK tax. So, depending upon whether or not, and also in the UK, we pay tax in arrears. So that could also factor into it. Anyway, if he hasn't, he will be coming up very soon, I think, to that 3-year period. So it's either, to be on the safe side, he can spend less than 16 days in the UK, or it has been the 46 days. But either way, Harry just hasn't really been here. And I think, the reason for kind of not spending time in the UK is obviously tax. I mean, if you listen to the Sussex camp, if you listen to Harry, they will be indicating that it's all to do with security. Again, I think this is a big, massive Sussex bluff. I don't think it's anything to do with security, because Harry employs his own rather expensive security team, and that's where the issue is. He doesn't want to pay for his security team, the full security, to come over. It's costly to come over to the UK, to travel, to bring, you know, your nighttime security, your day security, everything over for the duration of your stay costs a lot of money. And I think that's what the issue is. I don't think it's anything to do with security. So basically, what Harry wants the UK taxpayer to do is to fund UK security for less than 16 days a year when he swans in whenever he wants. He wants the full protection, he wants the full works, he wants us, the UK taxpayer, to pay for it, and he does not want to really live here. I'm not buying anymore this that they want to split their time between the UK and the US. I don't think he wants to be here at all because everything is set up in Delaware. Now, Delaware is a state in the United States of America that has the loosest, I think, tax implications. Lots of American individuals and companies set up their businesses in Delaware because they have really good tax implications. They can not pay as much as in if they'd set up in other states. So I wouldn't say it's tax avoidance. It's completely within the full letter of the United States laws. But you know, they have chosen to set up in the place that's going to charge them the least tax. Now, let's not also forget that Archewell is the charitable organisation, the charitable arm of their operation, but they also have different businesses set up. Let's not get it twisted. It's not all under one umbrella. The money-making part, their individual money-making element, is separate to that of Archewell, the foundation. We have, for example, as a separate business, the Archewell Audio. Then there's the production arm of it. So all of these will be set up in Delaware. So they are wanting to obviously pay the least amount of US tax that they possibly can so that they can retain as much money for themselves. So going back to the 16 days, they want to just swan in and out whenever they want. They want full UK protection. They want us to pay for it. And they don't want to put anything back. It's all about take, 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 and nothing about give, give, give. What are they giving back to the UK, really? I mean, Harry even exploited the Invictus Games. Those, you know, the injured soldiers. He exploited them for the Netflix documentary, filmed them, and that was an element of it that wasn't anything to do with the charity. That was under the production arm of their operations that was making personal money for them, up to the rumoured $100 million. And he was exploiting the Invictus Games, ex-servicemen and women. I mean, that I think was a little bit disgusting. So, you know, will Harry in the future want to spend more than 16 days? If he does, or the 46 days, whichever applies, if he does, it will have tax implications, and he will have to come under all the other tests and possible. It makes things more complicated. He may end up having to pay an element or a portion of UK tax. So I just thought I would kind of clear that up and explain it a bit. I've shown some pictures on the screen. This is not something I've plucked out of thin air. This is actually from the UK government site. Now, whilst all of that was going on with Harry and Meghan turning the other cheek, Prince William, the Prince of Wales, has been remembering Australian and New Zealand soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice. It's that time of year again to remember the fallen. It's Anzac Day. So, of course, going from one where we were talking about self, we are now talking about the real duty, the real feet on the ground, the working operation, the arm of the royal family doing good work, dutiful work, proper service in the United Kingdom, paying their respects. So I've wondered what was actually going to happen today, and we get to see William paying his respects. I will pop up some photos. So there we go. There's my big Willie. There's my big Willie paying his respects. And he's now, of course, able to lay the Prince of Wales feathers in terms of a memorial. So the wreath that he can now we actually saw him laying for the first time the Prince of Wales feathers wreath at the Sunday memorial service for Poppy Day. And I'm trying to zoom in to see what was actually written on the card. I can't quite make that out. I'm sure there's a close-up somewhere. If I can find a photo, I will put that in. But yes, Remembrance Sunday was the first time that he lay the Prince of Wales feathers wreath. But now we're getting to see it again, and we're getting more used to seeing the Prince of Wales feathers associated with Prince William. It's getting a lot easier to kind of make that change, make that switch between the Duke of Cambridge and now Prince of Wales, and of course Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, and now the King. So I just thought that was something to point out. I also want to address the claims of Photoshop of a royal photo. So a few days ago, or last week, we had a beautiful photo of the late Queen a couple of weeks before she passed away with some of her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And people on social media have been pointing out that potentially the photo has been kind of spliced together, or there are elements from perhaps a different photo in that series that has been kind of superimposed, blended together to compile a really good shot. Now, of course, it was the Duchess of Cambridge. No, it wasn't. It was the Princess of Wales. I just said it's getting so much easier to remember them by their new titles, but it really isn't, is it? Sometimes it just takes you by unawares. The Princess of Wales took the photo, so I'm not sort of instigating that she photoshopped it, but it's her photos, it's her artistry that potentially has had a little bit of a tweakment. Now, if you zoom in, I will kind of try and zoom in and show you some photos. It does appear that certain elements, particularly surrounding the Queen, the late Queen, on the sofa, don't exactly 100% match up. Now, I'm just kind of looking. So on the photo that I'm looking at in front of me now, one that was published in a newspaper, I don't actually see the elements that look like they were blended. So whether or not it's been re-edited and resubmitted and then reposted, I'm not entirely sure. But if I go to the Prince and Princess of Wales's Twitter and then click on that photo and then zoom in, if you look at the sofa, there are certain little bits of it that just don't look like they match up. Even, I know the sofa is a Chesterfield that has kind of fabric that crinkles and crepes, and you don't get a complete, I mean, it could even be the angle, but it does look like there is a clear line, a splice in the photo. It could be, of course, that perhaps the Queen wasn't feeling as well as she looks in the photo, and perhaps she couldn't sit for a long time. It could be the fact that there was children involved, and trying to get everyone in a good shot isn't easy. Personally, I would have liked to have, if it is a photoshopped photo, I would personally have liked to have seen an unedited version, even if perhaps some people were screwing up their faces or whatever it might be. I just preferred to see, a complete unedited image. I don't mind people playing around with the lighting in a photo or whatever, but I think sort of splicing, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but I would prefer to see a completely unedited photo. Now, going to the Queen's skirt, again, you can see what appears to be a bit of a mismatch. Now, of course, with a pleated skirt with a check pattern, sometimes the way that the folds lie can cause a bit of an optical illusion. So on the left-hand side, I'm thinking that potentially could be. But then when you go to the other side, it can zoom in. It kind of looks all sort of blended and like it's been sort of smudged perhaps a little bit. Basically, I'm not 100% sure. There could be some optical illusions going on. I know that sometimes there are photos that appear to show things that play tricks on the eyes. So I can't be 100% sure whether or not the photo has been photoshopped or not. If it has, then I would have preferred to have seen an unphotoshopped version. But this is the version that was put out to the world. So unless we get some more photos released of that photo session, I don't know if we will, then perhaps we won't be able to tell. If we do get some other photos released, we'll be able to zoom in on the sofa and see if we have that kind of same effect going on. If we do, then perhaps this one hasn't been edited. It's all in perhaps if we get some other photos of that session. But on the whole, it's a really nice photo. It represents that the Queen had the majority of her grandchildren, great grandchildren around her in the final weeks. And of course, they could all have come at different times. So we're seeing a snapshot of who was with the Queen at that particular point, but weeks before, I think probably in the summer at Balmoral, this previous summer, I think a lot of the family, if not all of them, would have visited her at some point, apart from maybe a couple of people in California who may have been too busy doing other things. But anyway, I think it's a really lovely photograph, regardless of any photo editing. Also, I want to talk about a little bit of socialite news as well, because an incredibly eligible bachelor, Prince George's billionaire godfather, I wonder what makes him eligible, a billionaire godfather, the Duke of Westminster, so he's rich, reasonably good looking, he's a duke, all those elements pertain to being very eligible, don't they? Announces his engagement to girlfriend Olivia Henson. Well, she is one lucky girlie. Hugh Grosvenor, 32, proposed to long-term girlfriend at Eton Hall in Cheshire. And I'm going to include a beautiful engagement photo of the happy couple. Now, she looks very similar, doesn't she, I think, to one Princess of Wales. I wonder if she'll be having a similar engagement ring. In fact, I can't actually see the engagement ring on her hand in that photo. Is there any others? I'm going to scroll down to see if I can see the ring. So Hugh Grosvenor is now engaged. So if you were thinking that you were going to become a duchess or otherwise, have access to all of that wealth and everything that the titles and the money can give you, then you need to stop looking and you need to start looking for another eligible bachelor. The Sunday Times Rich List will be out later in May, so I will be able to tell you who some of the more eligible bachelors are that you can set your sights on. But no, ladies and gentlemen, you can cast your eyes off Hugh Grosvenor. He is no longer on the market. He has been taken. He has been snapped up. I can't see the engagement ring. I'm trying to look. But he's wearing a a blue shirt. And I think she's wearing a pendant. What's on the pendant? I'm trying to zoom in. It's not a very clear photograph, to be honest, but she does strikingly, I think, resemble the Middleton sisters, of course. The Princess of Wales. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, in very quick news, Beefeaters at the Tower of London. So I imagine that if you have been to London, if you visited, many people will go and see the Tower of London. Now, the Tower of London is where the crown jewels, not the King's and now the Queen Consort's personal jewellery are kept. The personal jewels are not part of the crown jewels, but the crown jewels, all that gold plate that we will see at the coronation on the high altar behind. The crowns, different various crowns, the coronation ring, the spurs, all the good stuff is on display in the Jewel House at the Tower of London. I have seen them twice myself. They are an incredible spectacle, so do go and see them. But the Beefeaters, who often give tours of the Tower of London, they are very, very, very good. They have new emblems, of course, on their uniforms. They've all had to have their uniforms updated because of the change of reign to reflect King Charles's insignia. Previously, it had the E2R. Now, of course, it has the C3R. Let me know in the comment section which one you prefer. I actually really like King Charles's. I don't know, I quite like the fact that it's kind of all together in one kind of clump, if you like, whereas the previous Queen's was kind of separate with the two in the middle. I really like it. I also like the use of the Tudor crown emblem above. Of course, the late Queen used a different crown, but I quite like the Tudor crown. So if you do go to the Tower of London, if you're in the area, you will get to see the new uniform. And if you have made it this far, I am going to end today's video now. I think we've discussed quite a few topics. I am going to come back at you tomorrow. I have more things on my list to talk about. So do make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Do please try and share it on social media and leave a comment or a question in the comment section below. And I will be trying to make some videos where I literally go back on videos and answer some questions. I do miss doing my live chats, but the easiest way to share photos and images with you is to pre-record. So I am going to be looking at a new way of bringing you my live chats. I am a live chatter. That is my speciality. I like talking to you guys. So I'm going to think of a new way of bringing that to you. I think I do have an idea. And also, this channel is going to get a little bit of an overhaul. So stay tuned for some changes. If things start happening, if the look of the channel starts changing, don't be alarmed. Also, you may have noticed there is a little tick next to my name. The channel has now been verified. I didn't know you could do it. I didn't know you could be a verified channel, but now YouTube has taken a look at the channel. It has been verified. So I am real. I'm not an AI image. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to speak about before I left. No, we'll talk about that tomorrow because there are some really funny AI images. I'm going to write it down now. But there are some really funny AI images of Charles and Camilla out there. We'll do it in tomorrow's video. It'll be quite fun. So things are going to be changing on the channel. So do expect some changes. Also, there is something very special on its way to me, something I've waited for a very long time, and finally I've managed to get it. So you may guess what that is. I don't know, but I will be showing that probably in a dedicated video in the coming weeks. It might take about 3 to 4 weeks to get here. Jewellery today. I am wearing the late Diana's ring, of course now the Princess of Wales's engagement ring. I am wearing the Tech Crescent tiara, and I am wearing the Cambridge brooch, pearl brooch. So thank you for watching this video. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you next time. So from me in Shropshire, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.